Okay, 2024. Yeah, I did a lot of games this year. I played a lot of games that I really enjoyed. Some of my backlogs, some that are new. A lot of indie games that I really enjoyed. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded. 2024 was a bit of a crazy year for me. I did a lot of, job searching, figuring out if I wanted to even continue this channel. And yeah, I did a lot of contemplation throughout the year. I'm just figuring, life out, man. Life sometimes is fucking just difficult. I got carried away with a lot of things in this year. But yeah, that's in the past. I'm letting that go. I just want to focus on actually returning back to my passion, which was always content creation and making videos. And yeah, I just want to get back into making actual, video game content for you guys and seeing, where I could take the channel when I actually put forth the effort that I wanted to give it. And yeah, I mean, how have y'all been? I haven't heard from you guys in a while. I don't know if anyone's even still watching this channel. But if you're still here around, still a fan of, what I'm creating, I hope you're doing good. I hope, the year's been treating you well, and this new year of 2025 is gonna, be better for you and better for everyone. And I hope you achieve all your dreams and goals this year. I mean, I know I sure want to, and I hope everyone does. I wish everyone the best. So yeah, 2024, I kind of lacked on the uploads this year, but I'm really wanting to change that for 2025. And I think this is a good start. I think I want to talk about what I mainly played last year and what I'm looking forward to this year, and seeing, what are my highlights of 2024 and my disappointments. And yeah, I think I got to start off with like how I did it in order from like January, which I started with was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I'm a big fan of the Yakuza series, so I loved everything about that game. It had some story elements that I didn't like. Overall, it was a really fun game. I really liked playing as a Chiban. I like the new Yakuza style of gameplay where it's like turn-based, and they really improved on this one. I didn't think I was a big turn-based fan of RPGs and that type of game, but I really enjoyed this game. I think it has some great combat, probably the best turn-based combat from RGG so far. And obviously they make brawlers. They haven't really done turn-based like how they're doing now with the Like a Dragon series with Ichiban. But yeah, it was a very fun game. I love the setting of it, the Hawaii, and getting to see Kiryu and all the great characters there. That was one of my favorite games of last year. Really enjoyed it. I also played a game called Nightmare Reaper. It was a FPS like boomer shooter. It was kind of a roguelike where you'd get new levels and weapons and new abilities depending on how you advance through the levels. And yeah, it was really fun. It was really cool. I really tried to incorporate more of these type of Doom shooters, because I really do enjoy the genre of the FPS that is the Doom FPS, I should say. It's one of my favorite video game genres, and I think it's such a fantastic way of just relaxing and just turning your brain off and just killing shit. It's really fun. I also played Forgive Me Father in 2024 for the first time. It was a fun and unique Doom shooter, which was in the Lovecraftian design. Literally, the art style of this game is so beautiful, and I love it. It's like kind of cartoony with like 2D and 3D like mixed together. It's really interesting. It's a really great art style. And yeah, I scratched my love for H.P. Lovecraft and being a Doom FPS. So I mean, mix those two together and you get this game, and it's freaking awesome. Story is very interesting. There's some really cool lore. Obviously, it should be, because it's a Lovecraftian game. It's really fun. I definitely recommend it. That was one of my highlights of this year, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think one big game series I really tried out this year was the Metal Gear Solid games. The review is still coming. I promised that last year, but I failed on that. But for sure, I'll get a review out of my experience with the Metal Gear games. I'm gonna go through the Metal Gear Solid 1 PS1 game first, because that's how I got started with the series, was with the PS1 game, and then I got into all the other ones, following order. I didn't play the old games, but I will get around to them. I had a buddy help me with the lore and understanding the plot of Metal Gear, because it's kind of like all over the place and it's not really chronological. It's really interesting, just world and environment and lore in terms of the world of Metal Gear. Loved it. I love stealth gameplay, so I had to try out the OG, the Godfather stealth games for sure. So I had to play Metal Gear for the first time finally, and it was a blast. I loved it. I loved the goofiness of it. It was my first introduction to really Kojima's older games. The first game I played from Kojima was Death Stranding, and I found it interesting. The gameplay definitely lacked, and a lot of my friends recommended me to play Metal Gear, because they say the gameplay is a lot better. So yeah, I do agree with that. I do think the best games from Kojima are the Metal Gear series. That's like his bread and butter, obviously. Peak game, peak story, and just peak gameplay. I got all the way to Phantom Pain, and I loved every single part of the gameplay, man. I think Metal Gear is such a special series, and I think if you're a true video game nerd like me, you definitely gotta try out the Metal Gear series, because they are some of the best video games ever made. So yeah, after I played the Metal Gear series, I got into Helldivers 2, which was a surprise because I'm not a big multiplayer game type of dude anymore. I don't really play multiplayer games. I thought it was interesting that Sony was releasing this with, I think it was Arrowhead Studios. I forget which studio does it, but yeah, they came out of the blue with this game, and it kind of took the whole gaming landscape by storm. There's a bunch of memes and a bunch of great stuff that came from it earlier in 2024. So that was a great multiplayer game to play with the buddies and just fuck around and just cause so much mayhem with the guns and explosives and all the orbital stuff that they have in that game. So yeah, very fun game. Definitely had some rough patches throughout the middle of the year because of all the nerfs and patches and stuff, but I still think it's a solid multiplayer game. Later into the year, the devs did start fixing up all the like stupid patches they were trying to put in, trying to nerf all the stuff in like their co-op game, which is I think it's kind of stupid to even nerf all the fun stuff in your co-op game. Let people have fun. But besides that though, Helldivers 2 is a really fun game, and I'm really excited to see the future of that game, see where it goes, and seeing how the content gets released on that. I also played Judgment for the first time, another RGG game that I really enjoyed. Not the biggest fan of the detective type of game, but I was a fan of Yagami, I think, the detective in this one. I really like the world of Yakuza. I just don't know if the detective type of thing that they were trying was for me. I do respect them for trying something new and trying to make like another storyline alongside the Yakuza storyline, which is really cool. But yeah, I gotta play Lost Judgment because I've heard that Lost Judgment's really where the games get where that game gets better. Judgment just had a lot of slag to it, just a lot of slow moments of gameplay, which I did not like. There are a lot of detective stuff, it just took too much, and I think the game's just too long for what it is. But yeah, still a great game. The combat's phenomenal, and I've heard Lost Judgment's even better. So, and then I also played Ultra Kill for the first time this year. It was a great FPS, another type of boomer shooter which has a great art style, and it just kind of goes hard. It's just kind of crazy. I didn't really pay attention too much to the story, but yeah, there's some angels and demon stuff there, so it's pretty cool. It's really interesting, the weapons that you get in there, and it's very fast paced and crazy, and you kind of get like a Devil May Cry type of meter where your style gets attached to your score and stuff. So it's really cool. Very fun shooter, very fast paced for sure. And I also tried out Ark Survival Ascended. Big fan of the Ark Survival Evolved series, so I had to try Ark Survival Ascended. I kind of waited a year or two before I really got into the game to see if I really wanted to try out Ark Survival Ascended, because it really essentially is just a remaster of the first game. And yeah, I was just curious to see how the game held up, albeit just being a visual and some quality of life changes. It still ran like complete dog ass, not surprised studio, I think Wildcard or whatever the fuck. Those devs they just don't know how to optimize the game at all, and I'm not surprised that this one is still the same shitty optimized game. But yeah, it kept me busy for about a month, like midway of 2024. Really fun. I played a lot of Scorched Earth, played the islands, the center a bit, so maps like that. If you're familiar with the original Ark Survival Evolved series, you would recognize them. Yeah, they're beautifully remastered. There are some buggy stuff and some weird things happening. And yeah, the fucking game is too huge though. Oh my goodness, this game needs to be like, I know Ark Survival Evolved had a big gigabyte size, but holy shit, this Ark Survival Ascended is just adding up with the updates, with new maps and new content, and it's just insane. I think games really need to chill with the really big requirements for all the storage space you need, and it's getting kind of out of hand, especially with the Ark games. So if you're a fan of the Ark games, definitely have your hard drive ready to like go, because it's gonna take up at least like a half, like probably like a good terabyte by the time you're done with it, with all the mods and fun stuff you want to do with it. So yeah, and one of the other big highlights of this year was definitely Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. First off, I have to say rest in peace to the legend Akira Toriyama. I owe a lot to Dragon Ball. My interest in anime, working out, and my music taste. Man, I remember watching Cooler's Revenge and just falling in love with the series and really, understanding how glorious Dragon Ball Z really was. And Dragon Ball in general, because I also watched the original Dragon Ball and I loved it. I love Kid Goku and I love Adult Goku. I just love all Dragon Ball, man. I know it's a very, generic shonen, but it is the shonen show. So I gotta put my respect to Toriyama. Rest in peace, the GOAT. And yeah, so I hold a special place in my heart for this Budokai game. Technically, this is just Budokai Tenkaichi 4, and I play the old Budokai Tenkaichi games, especially the third one, when I was younger, playing on like the PS2 with like my uncles and stuff, and we would go hard on that game, just beating the shit out of each other with our favorite characters and some dumb characters. And yeah, Sparking Zero is just amazing. I have no complaints. There's literally no complaints about Sparking Zero, other than like the expensive, DLC DLCs you gotta get, but I mean, that's with every Dragon Ball game. It's still amazing. I love Dragon Ball, so Sparking Zero was definitely one of the highlights of this year, and finally getting it was just cinema. It was pure gaming. I even tried out Call of Duty Black Ops 6, surprisingly. I did that on Game Pass, and I played it with some buddies, and it was pretty fun despite how shit the modern Call of Duty games are now. I really am not a fan of Call of Duty anymore. I grew up on Call of Duty. I played the original Call of Duty, is actually the one that were like boots on the ground, Call of Duty 1 Finest Hour, Big Red one, the second game, the third one. As I got into my teenage years, I played, obviously Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, the actual OG CODs that everyone has grown up on, especially the beloved multiplayers of those games. It was fun for a couple of weeks, just, playing zombies and prop hunt, which I enjoy. I don't really play multiplayer because I just don't want to try hard. I just want to enjoy my time playing a video game now, especially nowadays. And yeah, I saw Activision also was just the bloatware on the launcher of Activision. Oh my god. I hate this stupid launcher. Like, there's like 10 menus you have to go through before you activate, or before you get access to Black Ops 6. You have to see Warzone's content, Modern Warfare 3, and that game was shit. The remaster, Modern Warfare 3's remaster is a piece of garbage. I'll never play that. I think Black Ops 6 was fun for what it is, but definitely like a game for like the month and then forget about it. I don't care. I checked out some of the dog shit that it offered, like the battle pass and the rewards, and I noticed that they use AI. They used AI slop for like some of the images in the battle pass or some shit, like for your rewards during like an event during Christmas. I remember it was like a 6-finger Santa Claus that was a zombie. Like, holy shit, like fuck Activision. Honestly, fuck Activision for this shit. They are such a greedy ass company to actually be using AI slop, but I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised that this company is using this shit. So whatever, fuck Activision, and yeah, fuck COD. I don't care. And back on the Game Pass, I did have it for a couple months at the end of the year, playing Indiana Jones. Surprisingly, I wanted to try it out. It kind of came in like during like October, November. I'm not sure what days it was. Yeah, I kind of released alongside like right after like Stalker 2, and I got to talk about Stalker 2. That's a peak game. It released alongside Stalker 2, and I played it after I finished Stalker 2, and it was just, I don't know, it was like a movie game. It's like not what I was expecting. I mean, obviously I didn't have high expectations. I knew that the Indiana Jones game was going to be FPS, and it was made by the studio that made the Wolfenstein games, which I love. I love like New Order, The Old Blood, and even Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. I like that game. Didn't play Youngblood. I heard a lot of shitty things about that one. Definitely gotta get around to it just to see for myself. And yeah, this game just was not it, bro. Like, I'm actually a huge fan of Indiana Jones. I've watched all the films except the most recent one, like the newest one. I don't care. That's like Disney slop. I don't care. Temple of Doom is literally my favorite movie from the Indiana Jones series, because like when you first play this game for the beginning, it's kind of like the intro of I think Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it's definitely like it takes inspiration from the movies, obviously, because it's the game based around Indiana Jones. But I don't know, man. I do think Troy Baker, the voice actor of Nathan Drake, did a great job playing as Indy. And yeah, I kind of just wanted Uncharted, man. I wanted Uncharted as Indiana Jones. Every time I played Uncharted, I was like, man, could you imagine if Indiana Jones, if you just slapped an Indiana Jones skin on this, like it would just be peak. It would be cinema. But no, we get garbage. We get literal mid. Like, it's just mid. This game is just, I don't know what it wants to be. It wasn't like a fun game at all. It was just some of the most boring gameplay I've ever played in my life. It's just the same monotonous, like boring take cover, stealth kill, or not even stealth kill. It's like stealth, like knockout and like hide yourself, and it was just boring. I know there were some action sequences later on in the game, but I didn't bother. I watched like a story breakdown and gameplay, and I said I'm good. Like after like 2 hours of gameplay, 3 hours, that's as much as I could give it, because I was literally bored out of my mind playing this game as one of my favorite movie characters of all time. Yeah, I just don't get it. Yeah, for a company, or for developers that made, a really good FPS Wolfenstein games, I don't know what they were trying to do with this game. It kind of wanted to be like a stealth game, but also be like a cinema game, like a Sony game, where it's a lot of, cinematics, and you kind of, go along with it. And I don't know, it's a really weird hybrid of a mashup of like genres, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't have an identity. And yeah, that's where Indiana Jones falls short of ultimately. There you go. I don't like that game. Definitely one of the worst games of this year. Holy shit. During that same month, I was playing Stalker 2. Enjoyed that game a lot. Probably my favorite game of that year. I think besides Budokai, it was definitely Stalker 2. I really enjoyed playing Stalker, like the original games, like back in the day. Like I probably played them like about 7-8 years ago, and I fell in love with them. They're really fun FPS games. They're very different, and they got this like really, post-apocalyptic, decrepit world, and it's just so interesting, because you feel like you're a part of this like dead but also alive environment that's just kind of crazy. crazy filled with crazy people, events, and you're just kind of part of it. You're not the main focus. You're just a crazies. You're not crazy, but you kind of can become crazy. You're just like this dude. You're just a dude in this crazy zone, just, finding all these anomalies and crazy people and mutants and finding gear and, finding weapons and selling stuff and, inventory management and stuff like that. It's a really fun series. But when Stalker 2 came out, I was so excited because I wasn't sure if we were even going to get Stalker 2 ever, because obviously these are Ukrainian developers. Yeah, GSC Game World, which is obviously the developers of the original Stalker games, making Stalker 2 during a literal wartime. So, I mean, if anyone had any slack about, postponing their game or never even making this game, it should definitely go to Game World, because obviously they were in a time of war. And I'm pretty sure some of the developers even went on the front lines to like fight, which is kind of crazy to think about, fighting in a war just to, have freedom. It's crazy. But yeah, Stalker 2, amazing, really interesting story, very buggy at release, but I'm sure like as patches come around, it'll be a lot better. I did have some game breaking bugs where I had to like, reload a previous save, make sure I didn't go to like a certain area or certain parts, or else I'd get like literally like literal soft lock. Stalker 2 definitely has a connection to the previous games. There's some previous characters come back, and it's really, really, really cool environments, really creepy. Definitely one of the best graphics I've seen in video games. I don't think anything really comes close to it. Maybe like a Red Dead 2 or like Cyberpunk, stuff like that. Yeah, Stalker 2 definitely looks like incredible. I did mod it on my first playthrough because I definitely needed some quality of life changes. I definitely changed like some of the sprint stuff, especially the stamina. The stamina is too low in this game. But yeah, besides that, really fun game. This game also suffers from having way too much storage space as well. I think it's about 150 gigs if you want to have the whole entire game on your disc, which is insane for a modern game. That's really becoming the norm, sadly, and games are only going to get bigger, unfortunately. So yeah, you got to cough up like a bunch of storage space, and you also have to wait for shaders too, which was an annoying thing, but it is what it is. Still, beautiful, phenomenal game. Gameplay is still solid. You get that awesome FPS experience that you get from the Stalker games, in a modern setting, and the weather system is also incredible. There's a lot of things to say about this game, but I think that's really the gist of it. It's just a solid sequel, and yeah, just wait for patches. And nearing the end of this year, I was playing Blasphemous 2, actually. They had a Mea Culpa DLC, which I was super excited for. I really enjoyed Blasphemous 2. Seeing a return of an iconic weapon, I was like, for sure, gotta get this DLC. And yeah, it was fucking hard as shit. A little confusing at some parts, because I was a little lost, because I kind of had to go off of like my most recent save and to like figure out, the whole like intricate world that Blasphemous 2 is. And that map is like ginormous. So I really had to find a guide for it. But once I got, rhythm going, it was a really fun DLC, really challenging. Definitely recommend it. Definitely try out Blasphemous 2 if you get the chance. It's one of my favorite Metroidvania games, and I played it mainly on the Steam Deck and had a blast. So yeah, check it out. I think definitely one of my highlights of this year was finishing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the first one. And I am still coping for the remake. Hopefully, it's still in the works somewhere in the ether. I doubt it. It's probably fucking gone. I'm in like an ultra copious hell right now. I doubt it's ever gonna come out. It's just been bad news over bad news of like if the game's even coming out, if it's still getting developed, if it's getting pushed back, or like we really don't know. I really don't know the last update about the game. But yeah, hopefully Knights of the Old Republic does make a comeback with its remake, because it's definitely one of the best games ever made. One of the best RPGs I ever played. I think BioWare made this, so this is like BioWare at its peak. And yeah, Star Wars I'm a big fan of Star Wars, so you gotta play Knights of the Old Republic. The game is definitely a little buggy to like run now. Definitely think this game, out of all the remakes that have been happening, the shitty remakes from like Naughty Dog for Last of Us 2 and shit like that, like those remakes shouldn't be happening. Remakes for like old games like Knights of the Old Republic really need to happen, because getting Knights of the Old Republic to function is such a pain in the ass, especially on PC. You have to go through a lot of modding and putting some plugins in to make sure it's running correctly. Even not getting your modern resolution, because like the game was made before like high refresh rates, high resolution. So it's really interesting to see a game from so long ago still hold up so well, because of the writing, the gameplay, the narrative. It's just so good, man. I mean, there's a really great twist in the story in this one, and yeah, you literally have a character that can either go to the light side or dark side depending on your choices, and there's a lot of player choice in this one, which I love. That's one of my favorite things about video games, or my favorite video games are the ones where you get to make choices for your own character, and seeing how the story progresses, how it ends, depending on your choices, which is just peak. This is one of the best Star Wars games. Definitely check it out. And yeah, I wish I could have made a review on it, but definitely for another time. Another great highlight of this year was definitely playing Bolt Gun Warhammer. I'm such a big fan of Warhammer now. I'm so glad I'm seeing a lot more of video games and media that I'm seeing in like the actual like space. It's really cool. I'm not like a big lore buff. I've read into some of the lore. I've watched the videos, and it just goes so hard. The universe of 40K is just peak. Bolt Gun was a Doom-like FPS with the art style of Warhammer in it, which just, I mean, having those two combined, man, you get a perfect recipe. And yeah, those devs that worked on that game cooked so hard, and I gotta play the DLC for that. Oh my god, the gameplay in that is so good. Just turn on some like Warhammer music, some like metal, and it's just, oh, it's cinema, bro. It's so cinema. It's just absolute gaming. So it's a great game. Really loved it. One of my favorite games of this year that I got to try out. Lots of gore. It's like a pixelated type of art style as well, so it's really fun seeing how the sprites and everything explode and just seeing all the carnage. It's really cool. And my last highlight of this year was definitely playing for the first time the Silent Hill games. I always wanted to try out these games. I'm not a big fan of horror games in general. I really don't play a lot of them. I heard a lot of great things about the Silent Hill games, and I had to try it out for myself to see, what everyone's buzz is about this game, and it did not disappoint. These are some of the best games I've ever played, especially in the horror genre and just video games in general. These are literal art pieces, and I think Silent Hill is such an interesting world. And when you really dive into like the psyche of the characters and the world that it's in, or the especially the environment that they're set in, it's just incredible, And it's sad to see Konami being a shell of itself and not making these type of games anymore. But this was like Konami at its peak. So yeah, great psychological horror game, especially the second one. I loved Silent Hill 2 a lot. That was the one I was most interested in playing, but I had to play the first one, especially because I wanted to get more context, but it doesn't really have a connection, but it kind of does to the second game. But I digress. Silent Hill 2 is really where people say that's like the definitive Silent Hill experience, and it really is. Playing as James and finding his wife. It's just really a story that hits, especially at this age for myself, being like a young man, just seeing the struggles that he goes through and seeing like how his psyche is like just enveloped in this world of Silent Hill. There's a lot of dark stuff that it covers, and that's what I love. I love it when video games can cover real life afflictions and trauma that's just hard to really put into words or put into like perspective for everyday people. Stuff that they don't want to face. Silent Hill 2 is a masterpiece. Its score, especially the music, is so fucking good. I love the theme of Laura. I love all the themes in this game. When I first played Silent Hill 2 and I saw the intro, I literally had to pause and just watch from how beautiful it was. Like I just don't understand how we can't like make video games like this anymore, man. These are like art. This is not just a video game anymore. It's literal art, and it's such an experience. Like Silent Hill 2 is really just, even the first one, they are just not just video games. They are actual experiences that you have to witness once in your life at least. And I'm glad I did. I'm definitely going to give out a review for that, talk more about it, what I thought about it, what I think, the deeper meanings of Silent Hill. Another masterpiece of video games, and yeah, definitely some of the best horror games of all time. Loved it. Those are my games that I played mainly this year. A lot of great stuff, a lot of shitty stuff, but overall it was a good year. It was a good year for me in gaming. There's some stuff I missed out on, like Sun Wukong. I definitely want to try that. Space Marine 2, I gotta play the first one. Stellar Blade, another one I missed out because of Miss Cheeks. But anyways, a lot of good releases coming this year. Obviously, I think GTA 6 is probably the biggest one. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the new Yakuza game Like a Dragon game with Majima is going to be peak. The pirate one, I'm so excited. I love pirates and I love Majima. I was talking to my buddy, who's another big fan of Yakuza, about the direction that RGG should go, and they should make like a Majima game, because I haven't seen much Majima. Just a spin-off, one last like goodbye to him for the character. And yeah, they're doing it, and RGG's cooking, man. RGG's cooking. They have like an open world game coming out soon too. A lot of great stuff at the Game Awards. So I'm really excited to see what video games are coming in this coming year and the following. A lot of stuff on the back burner. Got to get through my backlog. I also want to play the Prince of Persia games finally. Got to give those a try for sure. Fear series as well. It's another game series I want to try out. And yeah, basically my year in 2024 of gaming. A lot of great stuff. A lot of mediocre shit, like I said. Yeah, you gotta take them both, man. You gotta take both the good and bad of video games to really enjoy yourself. So hopefully all of you guys are still doing good. You guys are still, gaming, watching anime, stuff like that. Reading manga or books. I actually got into the Dune series this year. I'm reading that currently. I just finished the first book after watching the 2 movies, and I loved it. I'm on Dune Messiah. I'm about halfway through, so I should be done by this month. That's pretty much what I'm reading, what I'm like really into right now. Hopefully you guys have a better year than 2024. I wish all of you the best, and I will try being more consistent this year. Stick around. Got some good content coming out, some new video games I want to try out, some reviews, Metal Gear, Silent Hill, whatever else is coming after that. So hopefully you guys are tuned in. Appreciate all of you. Stay safe. Be awesome. And yeah, love you guys. Take care. Peace.